Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are continuing with chapter 14 of the book of Joshua, but before I do that, I want to say happy Mother's Day in the US to all the moms and the mom-like people who fill that role for somebody, so happy Mother's Day. And for many churches, today is the celebration of the Feast of the Ascension. That's when we celebrate Jesus ascending into heaven after the crucifixion, so happy Ascension Sunday. You may have celebrated on Thursday because Thursday was technically the 40 days after Easter, but a lot of churches celebrate on Sunday. So, or if you're in the Orthodox calendar, then it's not happened yet. But if today is Ascension Sunday for you, happy Ascension Sunday. All right, let's go. Chapter 14 of the book of Joshua. Here follow the portions which the Israelites received in the land of Canaan. Remember, they are distributing the lands now to the Israelites. Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of families and the tribes of the Israelites determined their heritage by lot, in accordance with the instructions the Lord had given through Moses concerning the remaining 9.5 tribes. For 2.5 tribes Moses had already given a heritage beyond the Jordan, and though the Levites were given no heritage among the tribes, the descendants of Joseph formed 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. The Levites themselves received no share of the land except cities to live in, with their pasture lands for the cattle and flocks. Thus, in apportioning the lands, did the Israelites carry out the instructions of the Lord to Moses. When the Judites came up to Joshua in Gilgal, the Kenizzite Caleb, son of Jephunneh, said to him, "You know what the Lord said to the man of God, Moses, about you and me in Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when the servant of the Lord, Moses, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to reconnoiter the land, and I brought back him conscientious report. My fellow scouts who went up with me discouraged the people, but I was completely loyal to the Lord my God. On that occasion Moses swore this oath, the land where you have set foot shall become your heritage, and that of your descendants forever, because you have been completely loyal to the Lord my God. Now, as he promised, the Lord has preserved me while Israel was journeying through the desert for 45 years since the Lord spoke thus to Moses. And although I am now 85 years old, I am as strong today as I was the day Moses sent me forth, with no less vigor, whether for war or for ordinary tasks. Give me, therefore, this mountain region, which the Lord promised me that day, as you yourself heard. True, the Anakim are there, with large fortified cities, but if the Lord is with me, I shall be able to drive them out, as the Lord promised." Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave him Hebron as his heritage. Therefore Hebron remains the heritage of the Kenizzite Caleb, son of Jephunneh, to the present day, because he was completely loyal to the Lord, the God of Israel. Hebron was formerly called Kiriath Arba for Arba, the greatest among the Anakim, and the land enjoyed peace. Chapter 15 begins giving detailed boundaries of where the cities were. Jumping to verse 13. As the Lord had commanded, Joshua gave Caleb, son of Jephunneh, a portion among the Judites, namely Kiriath Arba. Arba was the father of Anak, that is Hebron. And Caleb drove out from there the 3 Anakim, the descendants of Anak, Shishai, Iman, and Talmai. From there he marched up against the inhabitants of Debir, which was formerly called Kiriath Sepher. Caleb said, "I will give my daughter Achsah in marriage to the one who attacks Kiriath Sepher and captures it." Othniel, son of Caleb's brother Kenaz, captured it, and so Caleb gave him his daughter Achsah in marriage. On the day of her marriage to Othniel, she induced him to ask her father for some land. Then, as she alighted from the donkey, Caleb asked her, "What is troubling you?" She answered, "Give me an additional gift. Since you've assigned to me land in the Negeb, give me also pools of water." So he gave her the upper and lower pools. Then we talk about the cities of Judah. Jumping to chapter 16, the tribes of Joseph, and it gives you the boundaries of where those tribes were. Ephraim with all those boundaries. Chapter 17 begins the tribes of Manasseh and where those boundaries were. Jumping down to verse 14. This little section is called Protest of Joseph's Tribes. The descendants of Joseph said to Joshua, "Why have you given us only one lot and one share as our heritage? Our people are too many, because of the extent to which the Lord has blessed us." Joshua answered them, "If you are too many, go up to the forest and clear out a place for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and Rephaim, since the mountain regions of Ephraim are so narrow." For the Josephites said, "Our mountain regions are not enough for us." On the other hand, the Canaanites living in the valley region all have iron chariots, in particular those in Bethshean and its towns, and those in the valley of Jezreel. Joshua therefore said to Ephraim and Manasseh, the house of Joseph, "You are a numerous people and very strong. You shall have not merely one share, for the mountain region which is narrow, which is now forest, shall be yours when you clear it. Its adjacent land shall also be yours if, despite their strength and iron chariots, you drive out the Canaanites." Chapter 18. After they had subdued the land, the whole community of the Israelites assembled at Shiloh, where they set up the meeting tent. 7 tribes among the Israelites had not yet received their heritage. Joshua therefore said to the Israelites, "How much longer will you put off taking steps to possess the land which the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you? Choose 3 men from each of your tribes. I will commission them to begin a survey of the land, which they shall describe for purposes of inheritance. When they return to me, you shall divide it in 7 parts. Judah is to retain its territory in the south, and the house of Joseph its territory to the north. You shall bring here to me the description of the land in 7 sections. I will then cast lots, kind of like dice. Cast lots for you here before the Lord our God. For the Levites have no share among you, because the priesthood of the Lord is their heritage, while Gad, Reuben, and the half tribe of Manasseh have already received the heritage east of the Jordan, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave them." When those who were to map out the land were ready for the journey, Joshua instructed them to survey the land, prepare a description of it, and return to him. Then he would cast lots for them there before the Lord in Shiloh. So they went through the land, listed its cities in writing in 7 sections, and returned to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. Joshua then divided up the land for the Israelites into their separate shares, casting lots for them before the Lord in Shiloh. And it continues to describe, again, the locations of the lands of the tribe of Benjamin. Chapter 19, same thing for the tribe of Simeon, Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and Dan. Jumping down to verse 49. When the last of them had received the portions of the land they were to inherit, the Israelites assigned a heritage in their midst to Joshua, son of Nun. In obedience to the command of the Lord, they gave him the city which he requested, Timnath-Serah, in the mountain region of Ephraim. He rebuilt the city and made it his home. These are the final portions into which Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of families and the tribes of the Israelites divided the land by lot in the presence of the Lord at the door of the meeting tent in Shiloh. Chapter 20, this is kind of, it's to use the terminology the kids are using. It's kind of getting into the weeds. It gets very descriptive, again, exactly the mountains and the river, the borders of these lands. So if you wanted to, you could always look up a map. Maybe I can find one and put it in the description. We'll see. Of where these cities and these people settled, and kind of overlay it with a modern map. I'll see what I can find. So yeah, chapter 20 outlines where the cities of asylum will be, then a full list of all the cities. Chapter 21 establishes where the Levitical cities will be, the cities for the priests and the other Kohathites, the Gershonites, the Merarites, and then let's jump down to verse 41. Thus, the total number of cities within the territory of the Israelites, which, with their pasture lands, belonged to the Levites, was 48. With each and every one of these cities went the pasture lands round about it. And so the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to their fathers he would give them. Once they had conquered and occupied it, the Lord gave them peace on every side, just as he had promised their fathers. Not one of their enemies could withstand them. The Lord brought all their enemies under their power. Not a single promise that the Lord made to the house of Israel was broken. Every one was fulfilled. I want to read that little part again. Not a single promise that the Lord made to the house of Israel was broken. Every one was fulfilled. Like he told them, I'll give you these lands. You will be able to conquer the peoples living there, and you will have peace. And that's exactly what he did. Another thing I wanted to just kind of highlight and remind of was Caleb. Caleb was one of the scouts that was sent ahead to, again, 45 years prior. He was sent out to scout a certain portion of the land, look for where enemies might be. He came back and said, the Lord said this, just like the Lord said, this is here. And they're enemies, but if God says we can conquer them, we can. But the other men that he was with, most of them came back and said they're too strong, it's scary, and whatnot. And they disobeyed the Lord. And because of that, they had to wander for another 40 years. But because of his loyalty and his trust in the Lord, God told Moses, he will live to see the promised land. The others wouldn't. So Caleb, goes to Joshua and says, you were there, you remember all this. The land that God said he would give me has these people, these very strong armies living in it, but I'm not afraid. It's pretty much what he's saying is I'm not afraid because God will be with me. Right here, it's part of verse 12. Let's start verse 12 of chapter 14. Give me, therefore, this mountain region which the Lord promised me that day, as you yourself heard. True, the Anakim are there, with large fortified cities. But if the Lord is with me, I shall be able to drive them out, as the Lord promised. That's a big trust, and that's the kind of trust that we all need to remember to have in the promises the Lord makes. So, anyway, on that note, I want to stop there. I hope you all have lovely Mother's Day if you're able to celebrate, a fantastic Ascension Day if you celebrate today, and let us go ahead and close with the Lord's Prayer. Okay. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. All right. Have a great week. Remember the faith and the trust in the Lord that Caleb had, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.